Pastures of Fiery Passion and Madness. The true story of a deadly love triangle in a small Wisconsin town in the early 1900s. It's 1917 and the world is at war. For a period, all eyes are on a schoolteacher in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who has an affair with an affluent veterinarian and shoots his wife. Pastures of Fiery Passion and Madness is a story about Grace Lusk, who has an affair with Dr. David Roberts, a veterinarian who amasses a fortune by selling veterinary medicine worldwide, tends to the Rockefellers' cattle in New Jersey, and his first book, The Practical Home Veterinarian, sold more than 1 million copies. The affair begins in 1914 and ends in 1917 when Mary Roberts, David's wife, confronts Grace about the affair, and Grace shoots and kills Mary because Mary calls Grace a bitch. Grace turns the gun on herself twice, fails at the suicide attempts, and goes on trial nearly a year later. Every newspaper in the United States and Canada carries Grace's story, and pandemonium surrounds the courthouse during her trial. Testimony lasts 12 days, and she and Dr. Roberts tell their own versions of the sordid details, which makes people gasp, pass out, and such. Grace believes she's innocent, that Dr. Roberts is responsible for his wife's murder because the worm promised time and time again that he would leave his wife and make an honest woman out of Grace. A lot of people side with Grace at the courthouse and from coast to coast. They send her fan mail, gifts, and marriage proposals. Grace's attorneys try to prove she was insane, but in the end, the all-male jury convicts her of second-degree murder. When the foreman reads the verdict, Grace snaps. She attacks the prosecutor. She scratches his face and chokes him. It takes several deputies to get her off the prosecutor and back in her jail cell. 3 weeks later, the judge sentences Grace to 19 years in prison at hard labor. On each and every anniversary of the slaying of Mary Roberts, Grace is to spend in solitary confinement. Her second day in prison is the first anniversary of Mary's murder. Dr. Roberts is later sentenced to a year in jail for violating adultery laws. At age 83 in 1948, Roberts marries his fourth wife, a 33-year-old woman who was his mistress while he was married to his third wife. He dies 2 years later. The governor pardons Grace in 1923, and she writes 2 articles about her harsh prison conditions for the Atlantic Monthly in 1925. That same year, Grace marries a Mr. Brown. However, no one actually sees Mr. Brown. She dies in 1930 at the age of 52 from complications during goiter surgery, and she is buried in an unmarked grave in Stoughton, Wisconsin, her birthplace.